Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Got my shades on. No drama in my life. That's what I mean. No drama. Got my orange juice this morning. Orange juice on ice. Let's do a review. I'm going to speak about something on the book. Everything happens for a reason. We just don't know. Last week, June 15th, we talked about getting what you deserve. I'm going to pull my glasses up a little bit so you can see me. That's cool. Put them on top of my head. Getting what you deserve. If it sucks the way life treated you, it's totally nuts that you be treating yourself the same way. The review, getting what you deserve. What happens next doesn't happens right away. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it eventually happens to more people than you might think. You get fed up, you say, wait a minute, holy cow, I don't deserve this crap. Just like a friend of mine, his name is Jeremy Sumner Bell. He has heart condition. It's bradycardia arrhythmia. Now they're telling him he needs a defibrillator, but his insurance doesn't cover a battery. I don't understand that. I thought it all come together with the pacemaker. But this is what he says, wait a minute, holy crap, I don't deserve this crap. It hits you that you don't deserve to be treated this way by life. And then something else hits you. And you realize that you've been treating yourself the same way, getting what you deserve. Okay? But to sum that section up, I'm going to go to the last half of this because we talked about a young lady named Sarah. She opened her arms up to her own desire. Maybe a further reason why she lost her leg was to kind of slow her down so she could accept the reality of her wanting to become a doctor. So, excuse me, everything happens for a reason. Then we talked about even the smallest event. This is more or less what everyone I talked to said. I accept myself because I see that I can't do it due to myself what life did to me. Remember to rape victims I talked about in the previous chapter. Forgive me for repeating what one of them said. I'll tell you, being raped really gives me the message that you're nothing. Well, it took me a long time, but I finally saw that if I think of myself as nothing, then I'm doing to myself just what the rapist did to me. And I refuse to do that. That terrible experience forced me to accept myself as a worthwhile person. I promised myself I would never again reject the real me. Don't reject the real you. Okay? Even the smallest event changed her. Lastly, front section, picking up the self-acceptance habit. Accept yourself for having trouble accepting yourself. And why not? Life today is set up to make it hard for people to accept their weaknesses and imperfections. Just pick up any magazine, for example. All these magazines with these thin women, the fat, the skinny, all shape, size, and personality people. They are filled with tips on how to improve yourself. They're filled with images, stories of people who are better looking, more capable, more successful than will ever be. So it's hard to come away from things like this thinking I'm fine just the way I am. So we're going to talk about fat, skinny, tall, and short. Give me one moment. I have to check a message. Fat, skinny, tall, and short. Let's face it. When we talk about self-acceptance, we're really talking about liking ourselves. Liking ourselves. Hmm. So I'll let you in on a deep, dark secret. Sometimes we fail at liking ourselves because we go about it in the wrong way. In the wrong way. What's the wrong way? I don't know. Let's see. We think it's about having some big crush on yourself because that's what we experience when we really like someone else. But that's not what it's like for people who really like themselves. It can't be. We know ourselves too well to have a crush on ourselves. If you want to like yourself, accept yourself as you are. For most people, that's all liking yourself really means. You see who you are. Let in the idea that you have good qualities and stop giving yourself such a hard time about bad qualities. Isn't this what we do with our friends? We just accept them. Why wouldn't we do this with ourselves? Then, as you go through the pieces of who you are that you've had trouble accepting, it helps to remember that here too. Everything happens for a reason. Maybe you've had trouble accepting something about the way you look. Yeah, I've had a hard time accepting the fact that I gained some weight. So, yeah. How can you like yourself if you're fat, skinny, tall, short, or homely? I ain't heard that one in a long time. Homely. Hold on. But there's a reason for that too. Maybe the same reason we've been talking about here to help you accept yourself. In cosmic kindergarten, everything that happened is in some way a gift or an opportunity. Let's say you struggle with being overweight. Sure, lose some pounds if you want to, but also know that you carry around a physical reminder of your need of self acceptance. Every time you look at yourself, you have an opportunity to say, for me to like myself, I have to like all of myself from head to toe. Eyes, ears, hair, belly, big thighs, wiggly arms. We can accept all our flaws when we see them as a vehicle for something that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Maybe there was a prideful element in your personality. And so being overweight is a way of keeping you humble. Maybe there was a perfectionist part of you, and a few extra pounds are a way of forcing you to remember that everything doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect, but he who created us. So quit trying to be this, perfect that. Yeah, we all got a little love handles and a little flap here and a little extra chin. Maybe you got hair here and there, little gray hair. But hey, maybe there was a perfectionist part of you. For a few extra pounds are a way of forcing you to remember that everything doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, that's why I have a big butt. One woman said when I told her this, here's the discipline. Here's the discipline. Find your way to liking yourself by looking at what you've had trouble accepting, asking yourself, how is this good? And search for an answer. And if the wisest guru on the planet had given you this for the theme for your meditation, you've not found the answer yet, but you've never asked the question. Next section. Try not to try for today. Let's see try not to try. Ultimately, self-acceptance is the matter of seeing You see that by not accepting yourself, you're doing yourself what was done to you. Then you look for ways to accept yourself. The one thing you don't do is try to accept yourself. It won't work. And you don't need it. Everyone who works at helping people change understand that trying is not the solution. People try all the time and fail, like trying to lose weight, trying to keep your desk clear, trying to tolerate people who annoy you. You try, you hold on by your fingertips for a little while. Then it all falls apart. And yet people succeed all the time without trying. I know one woman who kept trying to diet, but never really made the changes necessary for dieting to work. The scale just told her numbers. The mirror just showed her images she was used to seeing. But then one summer day, walking down the street, she caught a glimpse of herself reflected in a darkened store window. She was horrified by this, completely unprepared for the glimpse of herself. Finally, she saw that that gave her all the motivation she needed. Here's another example of someone who changed because he saw. This was a guy who smoked. All his friends and family had been trying to get him to stop for years. He kept trying, nothing worked. Then his cousin, a lovely young woman in her prime of her life, died after a long illness. The whole family was there. About an hour after she died, he went in to say goodbye to her. He bent over to kiss her on the forehead, and it wasn't just that her skin was cold, it was the sensation he never experienced before. He felt death. And with that, he saw that he needed to be able to stop smoking. He never smoked again. Wow. That's all of us needs over the years. I've tried to put my finger on what pushes me over the line towards making real changes. The best answer I found is it is this seeing. We all see all the time, but suddenly we see something new, different, that pierces us to the core. It feels as dramatic as the difference between the darkness of sleep and the light of awakening. It's like we got to stop taking care of everybody else and start taking care of self. Self-care is very important. Because if you don't take care of yourself, how you going to be here to take care of somebody else? Take care of your dental, your eye appointments. Dental is called vision, dental, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Self-care. Okay? The best answer I found is that it is the seeing. We see all the time, but suddenly we see something new and different that pierces us into the core. It feels as dramatic as the difference between the darkness of a sleep and the light of an awakening. It's just that we also need something to make us see. And that's why the bad things happen to us. When the power to produce real change in the area of self-acceptance and every other, nothing wakes you up and makes you see like an explosion. In another chapter, it said you can have a tornado or a tidal wave in your life to wake you up. Last section, we will focus on practice makes perfect. Now, and I don't agree with that. Practice gets you to do it better. There's not a perfect world. So it's funny. Think about this lesson we learn in life. No matter how much it costs us to learn them, no matter how deeply they've etched it in our hearts, sometimes we forget them anyway. We need a way to put them into practice when we've forgotten a little of what we've learned. So in this case, how do we remember to accept ourselves when we start sliding back into our old habits? If change happens when you see something big or new and meaningful, the key to maintaining that change is to continue to see. Keep looking. So we have to see when you're sliding back into old patterns. This requires vigilance. Too often, self-rejection comes in the disguise of constructive criticism or a much need kick in the butt. But if you can see that you're getting on your case for stuff you know has been very hard for you to change, then this is just self-rejection. See it for what it is. Remember, see it for what it is. A simple way to get rid of self-rejection is to ask, is this helpful? Be honest. You've just said, God, I'm so far. I'm so fat. I'm so skinny. I'm so broke. I'm so depressed. Okay, so tell me, does that help? I can't imagine it does. So get in the habit of answering back to yourself when you say to yourself, is this helpful? And you say, God, I'm not okay with this, with myself. God, I need help fixing this. That's not helpful every time you say something self-rejecting. Another way is to put an end to self-rejection is asking yourself whether what you're telling yourself is what a friend would say. Carla Nicole would say inner dialogue. When you talk, when your inner self is telling you stuff, your inner self can cause you to self-destruct. So you got to change what you say with inside yourself to bring it out. Inner dialogue is critical. This is what she's saying. Another way to put the end of self-rejection, ask yourself whether what you're telling yourself, that inner dialogue, is what a friend would say or what an enemy would. Friends are supportive. Enemies put us down and undermine our confidence. So if you say something that an enemy would say, stop. Just stop with the negative inner dialogue to yourself. Tell yourself, I got this. I'm going to stop procrastinating. I'm going to set aside time to study different things, meditate to calm my spirit, and over all these racing thoughts, just set aside time, catch your thought, write them down in a notebook. Always get a notebook, write it down. I got so much paper with notes everywhere. I write it down. But remember, 3 things in one day. There's only 24 hours in a day. You can't do everything. You make a list of 10 things. You ain't going to get all them 10 things done. So there's always the magic number 3. All right. Friends are supportive. Enemies put us down and undermine our confidence. You know some people like that. You got co-workers. You may have family members. You just may have people just meet along the way that tell you, all right, you can't do this. It's impossible. Then you got people that support you in your purpose, support you in your gift. They're elevating you. So if you or say something that an enemy would say, stop. Answer by, I'm going to be supportive to myself. Say it to yourself out there, everybody. I'm going to be supportive of myself as a friend. What I have to say to myself, then say something supportive. Another good way to maintain self-acceptance is to remind yourself, I'm not Superman. I'm not Superwoman. I ain't Wonder Woman. What's the other character, E? What's the other superhero? The female. I ain't Black Widow. I ain't none of them superheroes. Okay? So, no, you got to tell yourself, I ain't no superhero. All I can do is try my best. Our mom used to tell us, just do the best you can. Just do the best you can. That's all I asked. When it came to schoolwork, I wasn't no honor roll student. I wasn't no A student. I was honor roll in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. But once I got older, just do the best you can. Just don't bring no D's in there. Because F mean that you ain't tried. D just telling me, you wasn't interested. So, all I can do is try my best. When people struggle with self-acceptance, I've noticed that they judge themselves from too many angles. Stop judging yourself from this to that to this to that. If you're a new mom, for example, that's tough enough. All by itself, it can be hard to accept that you're plenty good enough mom. But to think that you'll be able to look like $1,000,000 at the same time. Practice makes perfect. That's what we talk about. At the same time, it's just not fair. Most of us can barely do one thing well in life. That's why you only list 3. Catch your thoughts. Condense them. Don't try to do Rome wasn't built in the day, even though it was torn down in the day. Yeah. All right. Well, and to do that one thing well, we have to let most other things go. Coach did a show. You got to check her out. Carla Nicole. She stated that when you got these racing thoughts, you trying to, I got to get this, I got to get that. Oh my God, I got to pick up this, pick up that, get all this done in one day. Hell no, you can't get it all done in one day. You be done lost your mind. Like she said, to do one thing well, we have to let most other things go. Okay? Finally, if you've been getting down on yourself, maybe this thing you're struggling with just isn't you. You want it to be you, but it isn't. Maybe if you come up with some great idea for a piece you want to write for your local newspaper, but then when you sit alone, you can't bring yourself to put words down on paper. So why torture yourself? Maybe it's you to have good ideas, but it's not you to sit alone in a room for hours at a time to produce something out of nothing. Remember, self-acceptance begins and ends with being able to say, this is who I really am, and it's okay. That's the biggest thing of self-acceptance. This is who I really am, and it's okay. And what's made all this growth into self-acceptance possible for you is that something happened in your life, and the meaning of what happened was so you could look at it and say, I'm not going to do myself what was done to me. I am not going to do to yourself what was done to me. I'm not going to do to myself what was done to me. Remember that. And last but not least, this is who I really am, and this is okay. 2 thoughts out of self-acceptance. That what made all this growth into self-acceptance possible for you is that something happened in your life, number 1. Then the meaning of what happened was so you could look at it and say, I'm not going to do to myself what was done to me. So, on this Thankful Thursday, we have went over fat, skinny, tall, and short. Then we also went over try not to try. Lastly, practice makes perfect. And remember, this is who I really am, and it's okay. Remember to smile today. Everything happens for a reason. Next Thursday, we'll be going into reason 3 to show you that you can let go of fear. Smooth sailing over troubled seas. See you guys next week. Exactly. See you next week. We're finished reason 1 and 2. Peace. No drama in my life. Have a blessed day. Peace. And remember to smile.